This is the new ZEISS Supreme Prime 15mm T1.8 lens.
This is a CineD Gear News video, supported by B&H and CVP.
Hi everybody, I'm Nino from CineD. We're here at NAB 2022 at the ZEISS booth with Snehal. How are you?
I'm doing well, Nino. It's so nice to see you in person.
Exactly. You're very unpixelated. Last time I saw you was, I think, on a call or something. Yeah. So we're here in person to talk about your new ZEISS Supreme Prime 15.
Yes.
What can you tell me in general about how the Supreme Primes have been, introduced a few years ago, and now I think they're really established in the market. So how did that go?
Yeah, introduced in 2018 and really penetrated the market nicely. They came at the right time. Right when digital cinema cameras were using the larger sensor, so the high-end cinema cameras were utilizing a bigger sensor, Alexa LF. We have the Sony Venice camera system, the Red Monstro /DXL2 from Panavision. This is when they needed, you kind of needed a lens with larger image circle and larger coverage. And if you're a big fan of ZEISS, ZEISS has been in the industry, 176 years as an optical company, but since the 1890s we've been making cinema lenses, lenses for cinema applications. And really everyone's used to seeing a ZEISS lens on all kinds of different cameras and, love ultra primes, master anamorphics, and lenses like that. So Supreme Primes were a nice fit that worked with a lot of sensors, gave you a nice ZEISS look, which is really what we do is we have a neutral balance of color tone. So you don't, go towards one side of the color temperature or another. It's really right there in the middle with our, our T-Star coating technology. And then, of course, the really great contrast levels. So the Supreme Primes have the latest technology of the paint that's on the inside of the lens. So you get the biggest range of contrast levels from the darkest darks to the whitest whites, giving you a really nice wide band of exposure levels. And then at the same time, great optical quality. So the nice newer optical designs really give you a nice shapes, not a lot of messiness in the corners, really a clean look overall from center to edge that you can do a lot of stuff with. So using filters, using LUTs, using lighting, you can create all kinds of different looks with it, from sci-fi look to comedy to drama and everything in between. You want a film look that looks like it's from the 70s, you can do that too. You put some plugins to create film grain, but then you can actually dial in the kind of characteristics of the low contrast and stuff like that, make it look like Fuji stock.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but the ZEISS philosophy with lenses in general, especially with the higher end, was always to give optical perfection and then make it as flexible that you can actually make your look afterwards. Because what we see is, of course, a trend also to have lenses that are either they're vintage old lenses that people like to use, or that, like somebody brings to the market a newer lens, but it is not optically perfect, but it comes with a look, but you're kind of stuck in that look. But you're deciding to stay with the optical perfection so you can actually add that look in post, right?
I don't think perfection is the right term for it, because if you want an optical perfection, you got to look at like Otis lenses in our photo line that have like no chromatic aberration, are meant to be very, very clean to give you a medium format look in a 35mm size. But we don't want perfection in cinematography. You need some little bit of flavor. So even the Supreme Primes still have a nice look for flares. They still got the magenta and green light flares, a nice bloom, a nice out of focus bokeh, which is really coming from the iris blades. You have many iris blades to create that round shape. So you're not looking for, let's say, perfection, but near that, high-end, clean, crisp type of look, like exactly what you said, being able to be malleable with that. And if you really wanted something funky, we have another line of lenses that's the sister lens or the brother lens, which is the radiance lenses. So if you want blue flare characteristics that remind you of a vintage look, you have that. And some rental houses actually go as far as to take our Supreme Primes and then modify them, and they call it, detuning. So they do detune it even more, make the focus fall off even more from center to edge. Maybe add a different type of front element that causes even more blooming of lights, like a built-in filter without losing a T-stop. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. So you can hot rod the lens if you want to. So the nice thing about Supremes is you have a really big range, and now with the 15mm, you have 14 focal lengths. So that means that from 15 to 200, 200, you could use this on not just a larger format, not just full frame or full frame plus, but any kind of Super 35 size format as well. So you have a big range of focal lengths, magnifications you can use. It's useful for lots of different formats and applications. And the 15mm really brings out that kind of high quality, rectilinear look that gives you a nice pretty image, even if it's, you know, a big wide angle lens with straight lines, but at the same time people look good in that lens. So in the center 2/3 of your frame, people are going to look great. You know, of course you're going to have stretched out distortions on the corners, but that's what's supposed to happen. What happens is when we design a lens, any lens manufacturer, 15mm, 18, 21, these are wider lenses meant to be further away from the subject matter, but cinematographers break the rules by putting the subject matter closer, so we have a nice close focus distance on the 15mm. You can come 14 inches to the film plane, which is right in front of the lens, and still have focus there. So we allow you to break the rules of magnification to create any kind of look you want.
And I think there have been a couple of movies where we see this super wide-angle look used on humans in the last few years. I mean, The Revenant, I think there was Birdman and some others that actually popularized this, right?
Yeah, I think wide-angle lenses are in. People want to have a nice clean wide because it makes you feel like you're there. You get to take in a lot of things. But at the same time, you need a fast lens. So at a T1.8 with the 15, you could actually throw the background out of focus. Otherwise, you know, you can't at a T2.8 or even, you know, T4. It's just not possible. So you can't just use a wide zoom. It's better if you have a prime lens that's faster to be able to give you that look, that, like you're saying, of that wide breadth of the frame and being able to take it all in and see so much information, but also dumb down the information in the background so that you're not looking at the leaves on the tree, but concentrating on the story that's happening in the foreground. So it's not easy to do. We had to use an aspherical element on the front of the lens to really create that rectilinear look. And when we did that, you couldn't just stamp out an aspheric element. We had to hand make and hand polish that element. So it's a very complicated process, but it turns out to be a really beautiful image without any onion skinning that's happening in the, you know, the out of focus bokehs, and it's just a great lens. It's a nice size, shape, weight, fits in perfectly with all the rest of the Supremes. So we created a showreel video that actually I got to direct it, and yeah, and Alicia Robbins shot it, cinematographer. We had a great team. We shot in the forest. So in the forest, you could actually see the way that the trees are handled and the look of everything. And we showed the close focus distance, or using on a low angle looking up, or a straight angle looking straight out. And you can see the kind of different ways you can apply the lens characteristics. So it's a fun lens. It's a really great addition to the family, and we're really proud of the Supreme Primes and of course the Supreme Prime Radians, but you shouldn't stop there. I mean, anyone that doesn't have those kinds of budgets should really look at the CP3 lenses as well. You got a nice clean look, beautiful performance, latest T-Star quality in the anti-reflective coatings, but at the same time you have a classic optical designs which remind you of the T21s and lenses like that from the past as well.
Yeah, especially I mean, I still have a 15mm CP2 actually, which I love as well. Yeah. It's a lovely lens, yeah. But I think you answered everything. Last thing to ask, pricing, availability?
Pricing is for the US around 31 and some change K. Availability for the 15mm, if you order now, it's going to be a good 8 to 9 months before you get it, because we start delivering at the end of July in the Americas, and you know, already have so many orders already in the books. So if you are interested, you know, you better put your order in really quickly, otherwise allocations are going to start going away. But yeah, it's going to be a hot lens. In terms of the other Supreme Primes, pretty much everything else is available in stock in the Americas. So if you order any of the other focal lengths, except for maybe 18, might have a little bit of delay, or the 40mm. Aside from those two, everything else is in stock. And if you're interested in the Radiance version of the lenses, we thought ahead of all these supply chain issues. We have that in stock and ready to go.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Snehal. See you soon, I guess, at another trade show. So we'll see. And yeah, thank you.
I hope so. It's always great to see you and your team come out. I mean, you guys do a great job and really serving the community.
Thank you.
And that's why we do this, right? It's for all of you watching at home. You know, we're doing this because we want to support artists.
Thank you. It's just nice to be back in person with people after such a long time. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned to CineD for a lot more from NAB 2022. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.